My English teacher once told me I had a voice for broadcast and he could see me getting into radio. Well, thank you, English teacher. I didn't end up on radio per se, but I do have all of you wonderful folks here on YouTube that listen to me and seem to care about what I say for some unknown reason. Thanks to you as well. But for those of you that weren't destined for broadcast yet always loved the idea behind it, we have first-person puzzle adventure title Killer Frequency from developer and publisher Team 17 Digital. And if you grew up in the late 80s, early 90s, you'll find plenty to appreciate here. It's a murder mystery, slasher thriller type deal. There are vinyls to spin, and of course, retro synth music. Oh, that's a lot of goodness. You can feel that right in your sax, can't you? Killer Frequency is quite an interesting title. Taking place from the first-person perspective, you honestly spend most of your time trapped within a radio broadcast station. Taking place in Gallows Creek during the year 1987, you play as city radio DJ Forrest Nash. I guess he's been fired for reasons perhaps you'll find out. Now he's in this small town trying to work his way back up the old corporate ladder. Things are going fine and dandy along with his co-host or partner Peggy, who is also in the building with you, until you receive a very strange phone call from the police that the police chief has been murdered, and now you're going to have to be in charge of every 911 call for the next several hours. Why? Who the hell knows? What a strange idea, but an entertaining one nonetheless. There's a few things you should know, and this is important to whether you'll enjoy Killer Frequency or not. There's a lot of dialogue in this game, a lot of standing around and listening and making choices, and it does not take itself very seriously. It's partly a comedy game as well. So if you're wondering why the voice actors don't have crazy reactions to people getting murdered and such, I really think that's part of what the developer was going for, and it's ultimately part of the fun of this experience. Gameplay mainly consists of walking around, listening to phone calls that come in, and making some choices that do have a real impact on how things will play out. Certain times throughout the story, you might be tasked with having to explore a little bit further into the radio studio, and maybe even find some items which are clues to solving some of the puzzles and hopefully guiding some of the potential murder victims to safety. Here's one example of a puzzle in Killer Frequency. There was a corn maze map that I had to go find. You have to look at it back and forth as you try to direct someone through that corn maze in real time as they attempt to get away from the murderer. You're doing this through a phone call, and if you send them the wrong way, you will quite literally hear them in disgusting fashion be brutally murdered. Or you might get them to safety if you follow the directions. The puzzles are pretty tricky. That's pretty much how this game plays out. You can spin records at your own leisure, you can listen to certain tracks, you can find more records, you can find other little hidden objects. There's little reasons here or there to mess around the studio, but overall you're just trying to solve these many mysteries and trying to save people from being killed. This makes Killer Frequency a pretty niche product in my opinion. It is not for fans that are looking for a ton of action. It's more of a chill experience in a way, but the story did keep me hooked. I was really curious what was going to happen. The stakes feel real. You feel like you're a bigger part of the story, even though it's campy and ridiculous. All of that said, as a gameplay experience, Killer Frequency is rather clunky. You can pick up and drop objects, you can throw them as well, you can kind of twist them around and examine them, but with a controller it doesn't feel all that great. I'm not usually a mouse keyboard person, but for this particular game I did end up preferring it. As for the visuals, they aren't half bad with really nice performance and everything, but my problem with this game is you just don't change areas often enough in my opinion, or have reasons to go off exploring. There is a lot of standing in the main studio, and at times I was just kind of wandering back and forth, getting a little bit stir crazy. I think the whole radio station looks pretty nice, but you do stand in place a lot in this game, so you'll get sick of staring at the same things. It does attempt to keep your interest by having different records you can spin or tapes and such, but still, a little bit more variety would have been nice. As for the music and the authenticity of what it would be like in a radio station, I really think they've nailed it here. Now, the tracks themselves are up for debate. It really depends on what kind of genres you like, but it's a decent mix of different styles. I think almost anyone can find something they'll appreciate in this soundtrack. I really enjoyed Killer Frequency. I think it's a lot of good campy fun rolled up into a bizarre, different kind of package. While a bit clunky and often slow-paced, the story is intriguing enough to keep your interest, and I found the voice performances to be pretty decent. If you're looking for a different kind of experience and you don't mind a puzzle here or there, maybe check Killer Frequency out, especially if you were a fan of the late 80s, early 90s.
Go right!
Okay! I'm going! Please! No! You don't have to do this! Ah!
I think I'm gonna be sick.
Thank you so much for supporting clickbait-free independent content here on YouTube. Remember to hit the like button and subscribe to help us bring a voice to the voiceless ones in gaming, and be sure to check out patreon.com/idreamofindiegames, where we can together defeat the gaming echo chamber.